We are very excited to see you all. Thank you for joining us. I know you cannot speak, but you can chat with us. You can write a note to yourself, or you can write your thoughts and everyone will see your thoughts. You can say hello. You can let us know where you are joining from around the world. And I see more people are joining us. Now is the time. And you can add reactions, yes, with the emojis. Okay, a few more seconds. I see we have sound producers, we have localization managers, specialists, voice actors, implementation managers. Good to see you all. Okay. Let's get started. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. My name is Hila and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Blend. So excited to welcome you all to our webinar. We are going to talk about voices today and customer experience in the call centers and automatic phone systems world, but not only. So I'm very excited to welcome you. We see the side talk interface now. This is for those of you that it's the first time here in a webinar. This is our webinar platform. The most important thing that you should know is that you can ask us questions. There is a button that is Ask the Host below the presentation. By clicking on it, you can type your question and we will address it during the webinar. You can also write and type your thoughts and it will be here in the feed of the webinar, or you can take notes to yourself and you will get it when you get the summary of this webinar. You will get your personal notes. So if you want to take notes and to keep some information to yourself, that's possible. Feel free to interact with us. Feel free to type your thoughts and we will also ask some questions and we hope you can vote and join us. I think we are ready to start. If you have any issues, just type in the comments and we will be happy to help you. Okay. So we have a very interesting discussion today. We hope to have a debate between the human voice advocate and the synthetic AI voice side. And we also have a guest speaker with us. I'm very excited to welcome Helen VanScoy, Director of User Interface Design at P2P. Helen, thanks a lot for joining us. We have Karen Ford, Managing Director at Blend Voice, and we have Mike Hayhurst, our Senior Director of Sales and Engineering at Blend. So with that, we can get started. One second. Okay. 1 minute about Blend. Blend is an all-in-one localization platform. We localize texts, voices, videos for global brands who want to enter new market and grow their business. We offer a tech platform with lots of engines and AI tools, but a very strong community of human talents, human experts, translators, and voice actors. We build end-to-end customized multi-step processes and workflows, and we are experts in IVR, customer experience, e-learning, mobile apps, gaming, and also taking influencers to new markets. So we are going to talk today about our voice business, but Blend is localizing all types of content from websites to apps to e-learning courses, marketing collaterals, everything you have in mind. It was less than 1 minute. I am excited to share with you a survey we just completed. We asked about 250 people about their customer experience with automated phone systems. So if you took our survey, we really appreciate it and thank you for taking it. This is the first time actually we share the findings, so you're the first to hear this information. And I hope you will agree with our findings. The first one is that 69% of the people interact with IVR systems at least few times per month. You can see that this is like the highest percentage. The rest are interacting less times. What we also saw is that when same-day support is needed, most of the people prefer the phone channel over other channels like social media, web chats, and emails. And we found it a bit surprising. I thought that people moved to other channels, but people still prefer to pick up the phone and call. 53% of the people describe their IVR experiences as positive or very positive, which is great for us because we really believe in this channel, so it's good. And 78.5% say that the technical audio quality of the voice prompts and on-hold music are very important or important. So people really appreciate high quality. They can say when it's a good quality when they call these call centers. 60% of the people think they could distinguish between a human and AI voice on an IVR interaction. And we are wondering, can they really distinguish, or is it like they think they can? We don't really know. And that's why I want to ask you guys a question. So I want you by a show of a hand, and you will see it on the screen now, the question. I'm going to play this video first, and I want you to say if you think it's AI voice. Is it AI voice? 1 second.
你拿任何东西我都会付钱，但是如果你掉落一个物品，你什么也得不到。好的，选择一家商店，任何一家商店。
如果你挑百思买卖场的话，我就直接不进去。加油站，
加油站。
不要。
好的，所以我们现在在 Shiz 这里，这是他画的。无论你能从这个加油站拿走什么，我都会付钱。
不明白。
那意思是你什么也得不到。掉了吗？掉了。
哦天！
还掉东西了。
我们为什么还在这里？只是为了受苦。你必须。
I think it's enough for our question. So raise your hand if you think this is AI voice. Also, if you recognize this influencer, which I'm sure you are. Okay, we have some votes. I give you another second. Okay. Please vote if you have an opinion. You do? Okay. I'm going to play the other video now, and I hope you can say if this is AI voice or not.
سأكشف هذه العلامة. مجوهرات إبري تجاوزت الحد. كل شيء ب10 دولارات. أقراط، خواتم، قلائد، أساور والمزيد. وداعا للمجوهرات الغالية التي تخضر بشرتك، وأهلا بمجوهرات إبري صنعت للبشرة الحساسة مع ضمان لمدة عام و40 أبال في تقييم ب5 نجوم. لكن عليك الإسراع لأن الأغراض تباع أسرع من آخر علاقة لك.
你拿任何东西我都会付钱。
So obviously the first video, this video, obviously I'm waiting for you to vote, but I just want to explain. The first video we saw, this is Mr. Beast, and we helped him go into the Chinese market. So this is a voiceover from English to Chinese. And the second video is a jewelry brand that was taking the video from English to Arabic. So the voiceover is in Arabic. This is a TikTok video. And we have votes. No? Not showing? The question is not showing? Okay, so maybe you can write to us in the notes if you think the second video was AI voice or was it a human voice? Can you? Should I? Okay. So we have some answers. Okay. I can tell you that the first video was actually a human voice, a Chinese voice, and the second video, surprisingly, was AI voice. So I hope you got it right too. Human. So all of you that write human, wrong answer, this was AI. The second one was AI voice. But thanks for answering it. Thanks for sharing it with us. We continue with our survey findings. Sorry for that. So 52% of the people would prefer a human voice to greet and guide them through a phone menus. Again, I don't know if they really know the difference, but this is a nice response. And just to conclude it, we have a few more findings. So almost 79% of the people say that the voice itself is important or very important, the voice they hear, the voice talent. And 83% say that clear UI menu options are important or very important for their experience. So keep it in mind when you tailor or build your phone experience. And 46% of the people say they have no gender voice preference. 31% say they prefer female. We were expecting to see more preference to female, but people now say they do not have a clear preference or they don't care. And just to tell you a bit how we conducted this survey, so we got around 250 responses. We surveyed people around the world. Apparently 54% of the people are men, and 45% of the respondents are aged 25 to 34, and 66% are from North America. We will share the full survey, the findings soon, and you'll get it from us. And with that, I want to move to our first section of the webinar, and we are going to hear if human voice talents are always going to be relevant or stay relevant. And for this part, I want to introduce you to, one second, sorry for that. Sorry, Karen. To Karen Ford. You all have seen the Terminator, I guess. Well, we have our own Sarah Connor at Blend, and I'm very excited to introduce Karen. Karen is our managing director at Blend Voice. She has more than 20 years of experience in account management for IVR voice projects, and she has guided thousands of businesses through casting voice actors, recordings, implementations of voice applications, and she's a passionate supporter of voice actors. She's going to tell you a bit today about why human expert talent will always be relevant, spoiler, for contact center apps and all creative multimedia. Karen, please take it from here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. And I am here to represent the human resistance, the human voice actor, and your voice brand and your persona, and getting the most out of your IVR. So here we have a beautiful red and shiny Ferrari valued at $324,000. Would you ever pay this much money for a car if you could? And if you did, would you ever go to Walmart.com and buy your tires? No, of course you would not. That would be ridiculous. And the same holds true for your telephony platform. You can go ahead and change slides.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. Here we go. So here we have some wonderful telephony platform providers. If you work with them and you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars putting together a wonderful customer experience on your telephony platform, you definitely do not want your customer-facing voice to be this guy.
Thank you for contacting us at Gucci Online. We are available to assist you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Does that sound like a Gucci voice talent to you? No, this is actually a real recording. So basically, it's the same thing. You wouldn't put cheap tires on your Ferrari. You shouldn't put a cheap voice or a non-professional voice on your platform. It's the same thing. It's the same picture. So here we have,
Thank you for contacting us.
Thank you for calling Nestle. The following
You can speak now, Karen.
okay, they always go a little bit wonky here. So I've been to hundreds of industry conferences, and each time somebody comes into my booth, I say, who do you use for your voice talent? You know, what company do you use? Who is your voice talent in your company? And I usually get the same responses. The first one is, I have no idea. And the second one is the IT guy, the guy who set up our phone system. He just went ahead and recorded the prompts while he was back there. And then number 3, we have Peggy in accounting. Peggy in accounting is wonderful. She sounds great. And then we have number 4 is I'm the voice talent. You know, we are a credit union in South Carolina, and they just love my voice. It's so smooth and so Southern, and they really love it. But you know what? I'm very busy and I don't have time for this. I wish they would choose a professional voice actor. So those are some of the fun answers that we get. We get the one about Peggy, the accountant, doing the voiceover so often that I asked my marketing team to create a red button for me. And there's this big red button and it said, no, Peggy does not sound great. And we started handing it out at conferences, especially to the people who would come in and say that they were Peggy and they were the ones doing it. So they thought it was really funny and they wanted to take them back to their bosses. So I'll show you some samples real quick of this. We have Wanda in HR.
Thank you for calling
Wanda.
Randolph Brooks.
Wait. I'll do it again.
Thank you for calling Mix Telematics, formerly Tripmaster Corporation. If you know your party's extension, please dial it at any time. For a company directory, please press pound.
Thank you for
So
contacting us
Wanda.
at Gucci Online. We are available to assist you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Go ahead, Karen.
I was going to say with Wanda in HR, she might have a perfectly pleasant voice, but look where she's recording. She's recording out in her cubicle in an open area, or maybe she sneaks into the janitor's closet and records. You have to think not only do they have a good voice, but where are they going to record this and how is it going to be post-processed? With Jeff in accounting, look at Jeff. He's very motivated. He's going to be gone soon. And what are you going to do when Jeff up and leaves your company and you don't have that same voice and you've already recorded over 200 prompts for him?
Thank you for calling Nestle. The following options are offered to more accurately direct your call. Please listen carefully and select one. For questions or comments on candy, ice cream, and all baking products, press or say 1.
And with a local radio announcer, you're going to get a lovely read. You're going to get a good studio environment that's going to sound great, but you're going to get that radio, hello, thank you for calling type of read. And that doesn't work out all the time either. So now Hila is going to show us some of our professional voice actors in professional studio settings.
Thank you for calling Randolph Brooks. To access our automated system for account information, transfers, interest rates, and more, press 1. If you know your party's 4-digit extension, press 2. For all loans, including business loans, press 3. To speak to a representative, please press 0 or remain on.
For answers to how-to questions, plus tips and techniques, try our moderated forums at www.adobe.com/go.
Thank you for calling Symantec Enterprise Support. Due to scheduled maintenance, you may experience longer than normal hold times.
So that's quite a difference. You can go on to the next slide and we're going to talk about voice branding. So a great human IVR voice isn't distracting or conspicuous. It sounds like a regular person, just better. It's hard to describe, but you know it when you hear it. This is something that we came up with the other day when we were talking to our guest speaker, Helen. And that really just sets the perfect tone. I personally have my favorite IVR voice, and that's the Capital One guy. We didn't record it, didn't have anything to do with it, but every time I've had to call in, I just think it's the best one. And I know I pay more attention than some people do, but he's natural, he's friendly. I really love the Capital One guy. And if you want me to go off rail a little bit, I can tell you about my favorite GPS voice as well. I took that GPS voice with me on a trip to Dallas, from Georgia to Dallas, Texas, with my daughter. And we used him to get to Texas, which isn't that hard. It's just a straight shot down 20. But, you know, we had to have the male American talent to take us along the way because, you know, men know where they're going, right? So we used him. And along the way, we ended up naming him Bob. And Bob took us to Texas and got us all around Texas. And we ended up pulling into a McDonald's on the way home. And we said, just jokingly, what do you think Bob would want for breakfast? And we decided that Bob wanted a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit because he's hardy, he's a guy, he's the road warrior, but that he would drink some unsweet tea. He wouldn't get sweet tea because he's also health conscious. So I look back on that, it was like 15 years ago, and it's still so funny to me that we actually gave our persona some personality. And later on, Bob had a fatal error and he didn't get us all the way home, but it's a great story nonetheless. So voice branding is exactly what it sounds like. It's branding for your voice. What we do at Blend Voice is help you create your voice brand. We use a collaborative approach, working with your marketing team or just someone in your company that knows a lot about your brand and what you're trying to represent. To create the best voice brand, it's good to come up with a custom persona. We have worksheets and documents that help us help you create your persona. So up in the right-hand column, you're going to see, do you want it to be friendly, helpful, happy? Or you're a retail agency or retail store and you sell clothing to teenagers, you might want that to be hip and happy. Or if you're working in the medical industry, you might want to make sure that empathetic voice is attached. There's also authoritative and mature. So there's many different ways that we can represent your company and represent the person that you want to be answering your telephones. There are things they would say and would not say. So if you want it to be more casual, you might say, thanks, we'll be right with you, versus thank you, or please hold for the next available agent. I know I'd rather hear, we'll be right with you, rather than please hold. So this is a great way for you to help not only develop your script, but work on your persona as well. So once we've done this work, we know about your brand, we know the person that you want to pick up your phone when you're not there to do it. And so now it's time to move on to casting and auditions. And with that, we're going to talk a little bit about our talent sourcing. So with talent sourcing, we help you find the style and sound that you want, the experience from the voiceover artist. We help you look at your budget and your timeline, and also decide how many languages do you need. We do this in all languages, so we don't have to just worry about English and Spanish. We can do anything. We also help you determine if you need characters or you need something creative. If you go to our website at any given time, you can listen to hundreds and hundreds of voices, even hundreds of English voices. So I wouldn't just say, hey, here's a link, go check out our voice. And I would say, no, don't do that. You're going to get all into so many different samples. So what our team is going to do is look at your persona, look at your brand, and find 5 or 6 voice talents that we think would be the best representation for you. Then we take one of your scripts that you've already created and have the talent read it. That way you get a sample of voice talent options for you, reading in your persona, your words. And that's the best way, I think, to be able to choose voice talent. So the voice is very important, don't get me wrong. But what makes it even better is to have a really good studio and really good engineers, professional engineers, and a studio that's designed for this type of work. We work with experienced engineers that have backgrounds in gaming, TV, radio, music, IVR, e-learning, etc. We have on-site studios in Atlanta. We work remotely, and we have partners all over the world, so we can record everywhere at any given time. We use Mac Studio computers, Pro Tools software, Source Connect Pro, UA hardware, UA plugins, and large monitors for dubbing. We also use the U87 microphones. In this picture, you'll see Cole, he's the engineer, and in the window is Bryce, he's one of our voice talents. And below is Tio. Tio is one of our Spanish talents. And I always think of him being like Zorro. Whenever he comes in, his voice is like Antonio Banderas in Zorro. So picture that. And next we talk about how you take the voice talent, who is your new persona, and then we take the engineers and we work together to create the best session dynamic for you. In addition to the talent and engineer, we always welcome our customers to call in and direct the session. You can call in via a link on a conference call type situation. You're introduced to the talent and you get to give your input. Or you can come to our studios in Atlanta as well. So if you call in, what we do is like, hey, this is an introduction, and make sure you feel comfortable with everything. And then we start recording. While recording, you have the option to speak up and say, hey, you're talking a little too fast. I need you to slow down. Or could you say that with a smile? Or you're a little too happy. We need you to be a little more serious. So it's a great way to get that perfect read. We save this audio from this first recording session and use it as a reference audio. So every time we record with your talent again, we use that reference audio. So the idea is to have seamless recording. So you could record something year 1, and in year 6, you're still recording, and it's going to sound exactly the same. Your customers aren't going to be able to tell that that's a new prompt. You're not going to have a different volume or a different style of read. One thing we've always said, and this is something I talk about at conferences all the time, is that the voice is super important, but the voice is very subjective. And you can find a nice voice in a lot of places. You can use a voice talent from the website or from a company like ours, or you can find your own through a marketing company. But what's really important is the process. And that process is what makes a difference between you just getting a voice online and you getting a complete finished product. So at GM Voices, and this is something that you look for if you went to another company, is a good account management system. So you're going to have an account manager, account executive, plus a project manager. So you have 2 people right there that are automatically going to be there to support you. When you send your order in, it goes through the order entry process where we put it into our CRM system and we put all the details about your order, what volume level you want, what type of WAV file you need or MP3 file, whatever your audio format is. We put all of that information into the order. Even like, who is it being delivered to? Does it need to be delivered to several people? We put all of that information in, and then we prepare your script. When preparing your script, we make sure that we have all of your notes on there. We tell them to reference that file from the first order. If you want this particular script to be read differently than maybe others, let's say you have a collections department and you're going to be doing a collections IVR. So you would put on there that this is for collections. You need this to be mature and authoritative, maybe read more slowly. And you can use that same talent that you've been using as your happy, friendly talent, but let's have her tone it down a little bit. All of that information goes on your script. After that is completed, we send your script to the voice production. That's when our talent manager will book your talent and book your engineer and make sure the studios are set up, and we go in and record it. Once the voice is recorded, we have another engineer come in and do the editing. And that engineer makes sure that you have a file name and you have the verbiage and that matches what the audio says. He makes sure that all of the uptakes and all of that stuff is taken out. So if you have somebody who's coughed or made a sound, they take all of that out. They take out all the pops and clicks and sounds that the human voices make. Get it all edited and ready to go and send it to our QA guy. The QA guy goes through and he does the same thing. Do you have a file name? Does it match sit right with the verbiage? Does the verbiage match the audio? Does the audio sound great? Then he delivers it wherever you need it to be delivered, whatever email address, usually via FTP. So as you'll see here, you have the person, the engineer who's recording it, you have the person editing it, and you have a QA person. All 3 of those people listen to your script and make sure that it's read properly and that you don't have any anomalies in that audio when you receive it. We can move on. So here's a sample of some of the brands that we've recorded for in different languages.
You may not have seen us around, but you've definitely heard us.
How would you rate your experience with Netflix customer service? Press the number-
Welcome sa Netflix Customer Service Test. Mag-record ng message pagkatapos
Wir danken Ihnen für Ihre Geduld. Der nächste Airbnb-Mitarbeiter ist gleich für Sie da.
请输入您在 Airbnb 个人账户中登记的电话号码。
Thank you for calling Subaru Connected Services. To cancel this call, esta llamada puede ser grabada o monitoreada.
Thanks, Hila. The next slide is going to just sum up everything that I've talked about. And this is a human voice actor. This is a human voice actor that can create many different personas, and he's an actor. And this is what you get with a human. And you can go ahead and play this, Hila.
I'm Tim Heller. I'm a professional voice actor based in Austin, Texas. And today I'm going to take you through a couple different read styles that I use every single day for auditions and client sessions to show you how versatile Blend's voices are. Got my mic here, got my scripts over here. Let's party. For e-learning and talent development, I go with my business casual read. I make sure to sound professional, but if I overdo it, it's just too stuffy for a presentation that may be 5 minutes or longer. The goal is to keep users engaged so they pick up on processes faster. If I'm reading for a financial or healthcare company, you'll hear my authoritative tone. Here, I need to establish credibility and trust. Your investments and vital organs are safe with me. Casual but energetic is the name of the game for most social media and content creators. These videos typically aren't corporate and they may be as short as 30 seconds. I have to grab viewers' attention right from the start. Don't forget to hit the bell and smash that like button. When I'm grinding XP to level up my legendary blade, I use my video game pro tag voice. Sure, it's a bit exaggerated with lots of exertion noises. But the fate of the realm is at stake, so quick save your progress and let's set out for adventure. For tech startups, I use a detached and throwaway read. It's important to let people know that these companies work hard but play harder, and that the Friday beer cart and foosball tables are essential for disruptive innovation in the market. For retail, you'll hear my end-of-season blowout voice. If I'm not excited, how am I supposed to get buyers amped up for 1.9% financing for 36 months with $0 due at signing? Or 20% off quarter-zip sweaters for Father's Day? You can't! My TTS or AI voice, or what you'd build one with, is clear and flat. We can't have any mismatched intonations. One day, they may sound as emotive as my other reads. But in the meantime, I hope I've convinced you that there will always be a place for the versatility of real voice actors.
So I think I could have just shown that video and summed up everything that I've said today. But now's the time if you want to have some questions, or we can continue to move forward. Hila?
I just want to ask you to use the Ask the Host button if you have any questions for Karen, and type it there and we can address them now or at the end. I don't think we got any question, but we probably get more until we finish. So Karen, stay tuned. We are now going to move to the second part of this debate, and we are going to talk about AI and synthetic voice. And I do want to introduce you to Mike. 1 second. So Mike is a senior director at Blend. Mike Hairhurst is not a robot himself, but he absorbs information like one. Because he's been involved in every aspect of voice recording, including engineering, managing production teams, being an actor manager, and now educating our sales team on emerging solutions and use cases. He deals directly with our voice actors, but he's also been involved in bringing our AI voice to market and has seen how the technology has matured through our historical project and partnering with top vendors and developers. He is ready to welcome you to the machine today. Mike, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Hila. I appreciate the intro. That was awesome. And excited to talk to you guys about AI. So just to kind of let you guys know what AI is, it can also be known as, we talk about AI voice specifically, a lot of people call it, or used to call it, TTS, which is text-to-speech, and then it sort of morphed into synthetic voice over the years, and now AI is kind of the buzzword in the industry, especially since COVID. So we'll talk about, let's jump right into some of the options that we have for AI voice, or really the most popular options. So we've got the ready now versus the custom, and it kind of goes either way depending on what our customers are looking for. So with ready now, it's kind of just like it says, you have immediate access to hundreds of AI voices which are in 100+ languages. And at Blend, we actually have over 2,000+ curated AI voices ready to go for really any project. When looking at AI versus human, AI is generally going to be the more economical option. Sometimes that's a little bit more language specific. Some languages are more economical than others, but that is going to be the option you choose if you have a little bit more budget friendly. And AI voice is a natural sounding. We have a lot of natural sounding AI voices that have been curated. There are a lot of AI voices in the marketplace that don't sound very good. We've curated a list of voices that we think are ready to compete, for sure. From when you look at custom, we've actually helped a lot of brands over the years, really over the last 20 years, with their custom AI voice. And really what that means is it's companies that are looking to come up with a brand persona like Karen had mentioned. So we are actually going through a round of auditions with voice actors who are willing and able to record hours of custom audio data to create an AI voice for a particular application or a particular company. And at the end of the day, the company can then own the license of how they want to use that voice. But I will just say though that we do make sure that when we do this, that the voice actors are well aware of what's happening with it. Everyone signs off on it. They're compensated. So it's nothing. So if you ever have a company who is offering custom voices without the voice actor knowing about it, that's a huge red flag. We want to make sure that the voice actor totally is understanding of where that's going to go, and it's super important in the industry for sure. So we can move on.
Yeah. Sorry.
So most AI voices are going to sound a bit flatter, but with well, that slide is just tricky.
Sorry.
So most AI voices are going to sound flatter in general, but what we've done is if we script it properly with the engine, and we have humans in the loop, we can get a really good performance out of the AI voice for the most part. So we can move on. So in regards to contact center, in addition to AI voice being a great app or a great use for IVR prompts in your application, the other aspect of it is you can get a much quicker turnaround with voice, and any sort of unforeseen events that come up. We have a lot of customers who they may go with human voice if they know they're not doing a lot of moves, adds, and changes. But if it's something where they've got product recalls, could be something like downed power lines, depending on if you're a utility or things like that, or just things that come up that they need to make a quick change for. In the past, we would have a voice actor come in real fast and do it, and it could be kind of costly. But when it comes to AI voice, you can have a prompt pretty much immediately to be able to add to your application. So it gives you a lot of flexibility with campaigns, like you're having special sales that are very frequently changed, and then a lot of on-hold agility if those get changed quite a bit. So one of the things that we do as far as quality control of the AI voice is, we see a lot of other companies in the marketplace. They'll tote that they can export it out of the engine. It's pretty much ready to go, but we don't necessarily believe in that. We believe in, like I mentioned before, humans in the loop. So we have humans that are actually going through, putting it through the engine and checking it for specific pronunciation. So if you've got company names or special terms that have to get pronounced properly, obviously, what we'll do is massage the script, run it back through the engine to make sure that those get pronounced how they should. And punctuation is clearly adhered to as well. And that's important because that's really the difference between an AI voice sounding robotic and sounding human-like. So what we do is go through and make sure that the punctuation is proper, so it sounds as human-like as possible. Pacing and volume are as they should be. One of the big things we've seen with AI voice is if you're timing it to something, pacing can go kind of off the rails if you're timing it to a video. So sometimes it'll be faster or slower. So we'll go through, possibly even adapt the translation so it fits better within the video with the AI voice as well. And then finally, it becomes hugely important whenever you're dealing with a large application. It's really the same process we have with our human talents, is we'll go through and name everything exactly how it's supposed to be, so that you can upload that to your application, and it's been basically ready to run. Whenever you're dealing with AI voice, I find it incredibly important to work with a company that can deal with language management. So that's where Blend comes in, of course, is that because we're a language service provider, we have 25,000 plus languages at our disposal. So languages for us is a piece of cake. So if you have English and you're moving to Spanish, or you're moving to Chinese or German, these are things that you already know these languages, and we know how to deal with them. So AI voice became essential for us. So one other thing in the marketplace is the cloning of a voice actor. And this is kind of a hot topic, and something that obviously James Earl Jones has done a few years ago, because as being the famous Darth Vader voice for Star Wars, and he's getting a bit older, so he decided to license his voice to be able to use in future Star Wars iterations, as we know that that's going to be continuing to happen, I'm sure. And what I want to make clear is that, you never want to work with a company who just says they have permission from the voice actor without any sort of proof. You have to have permission from the voice actor, otherwise it's theft. You cannot steal their voice. And we're really big on that in the industry. We want to make sure that the voice actor is completely respected. It's their livelihood. So, but we can do voice cloning with the voice actor's permission. And then you can also get possibly exclusivity. Obviously, there's some compensation for voice actor that comes with that. And then the ideal situation too is if you have a large application, but you've used a human voice actor for years, we can, with their permission, clone their voice and then use different things for like data dips or made moves, adds, and changes with the same voice, so that it's very consistent across the application. And let's not just keep talking about it. Let's listen to a couple samples and see how it sounds.
More and more companies are looking at AI voice for fast, cost-effective recordings, especially in international languages. But if you're not careful, your customer experience could sound something like this.
Welcome to our on-demand tutorial series. Following each video, take our self-assessment
As of
quiz.
February 15, your account balance is $1,350.45. To make a payment.
With 500 projected attendees, this year's conference will be the biggest and best yet.
But if you work with a voice provider like Blend, your AI voice brand could sound like me. That's right. You're listening to an AI voice right now. AI voice done correctly captures the most high-fidelity reference audio, synthesizes it with the most innovative technologies and best practices, and makes it easy to integrate on all your projects. It's a great option for longer, informational subject matter like e-learning modules, dynamic messaging on corporate telephony systems, and internationalizing large catalogs of videos and presentations. At Blend, we offer both custom and ready-now AI voices in many languages, developed from our own contracted roster of voice actors. That means you can combine matching human and AI audio for a seamless customer experience. Talk to us today about your voice and language needs, and let us curate some voice samples based on the needs of your brand, audience, application, and budget. Become natively local and sound more human with Blend.
This was AI, right, Mike?
That was AI, absolutely, it sounds amazing. It's crazy.
Wow.
Now, let's listen to a little bit of Chinese. I know we're running a little bit short on
农历
time.
甲辰龙年将至，用辛勤耕耘收获累累硕果。Blend 将在新年里助力您把握各种商机，借助专业配音，联手 Mr. Beast 等知名海外网红，开拓境外市场全新领域。多语种本地化服务打造电商产品目录，开辟跨境出海新航道。提供英语、越南语、印尼语、泰语及欧洲各语种配音选择，为您实现线上课程与游戏产品的本地化。
Welcome to the online.
And that's where the language management part comes in.
Yeah, amazing.
农历甲辰。
Sorry.
Real quick, let's listen to maybe just one of these samples. A speech rec would be great.
Welcome to Prosperity Financial. Para español, oprima el asterisco. In a few words, tell me how I can help.
Check my account balance.
Okay, account balance. As of today, May 8th, your checking account balance is $2,779.82. Please note that any pending transactions may take up to 3 business days to post to your account. To hear your balance again, say repeat or press 1. To listen to your latest transactions, say transactions or press 2. Or tell me how else I can help you today.
Here are my transactions.
I can help with that. Your last 10 transactions are a debit of $50 from an...
Okay, want to continue?
Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So that just gives you an idea of what that can sound like on your IBR application.
Welcome to Prosperity Financial.
Okay. Sorry.
So really, it's not always about all jokes aside about the human versus AI. It's not all about either or. There's some use cases where you can look at all of your applications as a whole and use them combined in certain situations. So let's look at those. So really, when it comes to human voices, it's if you've got something. Well, let's go back to the previous slide.
What?
Let's go back to there's a previous slide, IVR and CX.
Oh, sorry. This one?
Yeah, that's perfect. So anything that's super creative, anything that invokes emotion, maybe you have something that has a longer shelf life, and maybe it's getting a lot of different, a lot of call volume with a particular application, and brand is really important to you. Obviously, I think human voices is really the way to go. If you want to utilize something that is frequently updated, if you want to combine data dips with some of your application messages, anything emergency related, and if you're kind of a little bit more on a budget when it comes to language expansion, then AI voices is the way to go. And depending on your company situation, we'd love to see what your situation is and see what would be the best route to go, whether it's human or AI or a combination of both. Go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So just outside of IVR, we do a lot of work with company videos, just voiceover for video, whether it be social, product, testimonials, presentations, things of that nature. And the story is really the same. If you have a lot of character-focused scripting, anything that's going to broadcast, if you have very specific read styles, things of that nature that would lend itself to what you saw in the video before with Tim Heller. The human voices is a great way to go. Anything that is obviously a little bit less budget, something that has a larger library of videos that you're trying to get out in a quick manner. A little more of an informational read that's not as dynamic. Anything that you're making quick changes for, if it's just something for internal, AI voice could be a great option to look at as well. And just to cover a couple more applications that we work on as Blend, video games is something that is super character driven, very high level of voice acting. And for now, AI really hasn't touched that, except for maybe what we call NPCs, non-playable characters those characters are not as important to the storyline. And you may be able to do some AI with that, but when it comes to games, it's very much a actor driven side of the industry. And with e-learning, even though we're doing a lot of human voice for e-learning, AI voices is something that's coming in because it's a little more narration focused. It's easy, it's quick and easy to implement. And if you have a lot of e-learning modules, as we'll sometimes come across, they want to kind of get those in fairly quickly in different languages. And AI voice is a good option for that as well. So that's it for me. I know we're running a little bit short on time, and I don't know if we should take questions now, if we should move into the next portion.
Yeah, maybe we'll do the part with Helen and then we'll take all the questions. And so for that, I want to invite, Karen and Helen to run the show and answer some interesting questions. Karen?
Hey, welcome, Helen. We really appreciate you being here today. So Helen works for PTP. She's got 25 years of GUI and UI and conversational design experience. She handles CX and UI implementations for some of the world's largest brands. And she's a very experienced presenter with speech, CX, and IVR conferences. So welcome, Helen. I just have a few questions for you and look forward to talking to you today.
Thanks for having me. And I just did the math. It's 28 years. That ages me quite substantially. But
Oh, well, lucky for you, you started when you were 10.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. So our recent data suggests that the voice channel still plays an essential role in the customer experience. What's your assessment on its evolution over the past several years as consumers and organizations adopt other content channels like web chat and social media and use them both together and independently?
It's funny because for years, people have been saying the voice channel is going to go away entirely. And we've seen, I mean, you showed survey numbers that show that's really not true. People actually, I know we all think people hate the voice channel, they hate IVR, but actually, we've done research that shows that people really think of it as a convenience because, oh, it kept me from having to go into the store. I could talk to a real person. Over time, though, all these other media, all these other channels have kind of siphoned all of the easy questions away from, say, IVR and left the really hard things. So back in the day, we used IVR as more of a self-solve. Now it's we rely on IVR for kind of partial automation, teeing things up to make that agent side interaction shorter. And it's actually wonderful that we have these other channels that we can integrate in with the voice channel because, for example, it's much easier if you have to say, identify a product, it's much easier if you can do that visually while talking. So we've got really big wins. One of our main goals is always kind of reducing that agent talk time because obviously it's expensive to talk to a real person. And the more we can leverage those other channels in, say, an IVR interaction, we can reduce that agent talk time. The caller's already logged in. Maybe they've chosen their product. Maybe the agent has everything they need to know about the caller already ready to go on their screen about the device they're calling about or the account they're calling about, the financial details that they need. And that wasn't possible in the old days when we had to just ask them cumbersome questions. So it's really made it it's really kind of uplifted our design to be able to have these various media to use these different communication channels all simultaneously. And it's only getting better.
That's great. So going back to what we've been talking about today, how do you consult with clients about the pros and cons of human and AI voice with balancing their budget, the brand, timelines, customer satisfaction, et cetera?
I really enjoyed hearing both you and Mike talking about the pros and cons of human versus AI. So I used to be just a passionate defender of human voice and professional voice talent for all of the reasons that you said. You know, I mean, I could talk for a long time about why professional voice talent is the right way to go. But you have done a really good job, I think, defending that choice. But I also have to agree with Mike. I mean, AI voices or text-to-speech voices, as we used to call them, used to be kind of terrible. They were really grating. They were awful. I live in San Francisco. BART, our transit system, used a really horrible grating TTS, but it's just gotten so good. As we saw, we all, and I was actually really unsure on the two voices that you played at the beginning, which was AI and which wasn't. But there are lots of considerations, and it's really kind of what's better for the application at hand. So Mike made some really good points about where it's good to use AI, and I think it's very much dependent on the application. Obviously, turnaround can be really fast. AI is great. AI voices are terrific for things like addresses. It just doesn't make sense to record all of the street names or all the city names in a country, but an AI voice can do that very quickly and easily. However, as Mike and you both mentioned, AI voices take a lot more human sort of intervention. So for things like prosody, it's certainly doable to get your prosody right, as we've heard, but it does take more of a human touch. And I've worked on some really highly localized applications. And when you're going with AI voice, it does make your localization cycle take much longer because you need native speakers to help you with those aspects of like making sure that the word choice is right. Also, sometimes funny things happen, like you have an application that's medical in nature, and you're expecting the generated voice to say, Dr. VanScoy, and it says drive VanScoy because it was tuned for an address module or something before. So very surmountable, but it does take that human touch. And I, for example, would not be able to tune AI in Arabic or Thai or a language that I don't speak. So it does, as far as localization go, make things take a bit longer.
Exactly. I too have heard turn left on North Side Doctor before. So that was pretty funny. So
Yeah.
what do integrators and technology teams need to consider when they'll be uploading and managing audio using these two different approaches? I think we've kind of covered this question already, but if you want to touch on it a little more.
Well, yeah, so a lot of it is this kind of human intervention, um, point. When I get audio back from the recording studio, I know you've QA'd it. I don't really need to QA it. If I'm generating AI voices myself, which we sometimes do in-house in a pinch, then I know my team needs to cover that. And some other processes that we've worked on actually in tandem with you, Blend, is as we know, audio, it's an invisible file. So I can't just look at the file and know what that contains. But working with you, we've developed some really good processes for including metadata in each file, so that my developers know what locale, and I'm saying locale intentionally because locale is more than language, what locale it's in, different sort of technical aspects of the file, the voice talent, the date, all that kind of stuff. And that's helped us really keep a good handle on what it is that we have out there deployed in our systems in a way that's easy to see without having to listen to a file.
Absolutely. So I think we have time for one more question. So it's going to be a good one for you. With UI localization, UI localization is a specialized discipline? What are some scripting and voice casting considerations that may not be obvious for businesses headquartered in North America?
Well, one of the things, like I just said, locale is not the same as language. So you might have a wonderful Portuguese voice talent, but you cannot use her in Brazil. That's just going to sound inappropriate. Um, and there are so many I could go into. In some Middle East cultures, for example, it's not appropriate for men to talk to women that they're not related to. So you wouldn't want to use a female voice talent in some of those cultures. You'd need to use a man. As far as design consideration goes, sometimes that is also plays a role. For example, in Japanese, the words, the prompting actually is going to be different depending on if the voice talent is a man or a woman. And then there are also lots of kind of preconceptions about, say, socioeconomic status. We all know that there are tons of different accents in Britain, but if you go with someone who's got a very RP, sort of high class voice or accent, you risk maybe alienating people who are less educated. Then again, you can't go with someone who sounds less educated because that's not right for your brand. So there are workarounds that we have for that kind of thing.
So that would be like using a voice from somebody who's upstairs in Downton Abbey versus somebody who lives downstairs in Downton Abbey.
Exactly. And we've circumvented that in England by, for example, using a Scottish voice actress.
Right.
And we know from user testing that the users don't even really notice. She's got a pleasant voice. She's a wonderful actress. And it takes all of that class, education, all that stuff right out of the picture.
Yeah, that was a great decision to make. So we want to end it on a funny point. I always like a little humor. Could you give us some localization snafus that you've experienced?
Well, yes,
Keep it
they
clean.
range. I was going to say they range from the funny to the definitely not safe for work. The funny one is one that I saw, which was the product was made in Turkey, and the Spanish translation was hecho en pavo, which means made in Turkey, like the animal of a turkey. So definitely not good. And one that we actually encountered was we were localizing a music playing device into Chinese, and the word sounds very much like a certain feminine product in Chinese. So we had to basically go with a description of what the product was rather than using the word to
Oh my
avoid a
gosh.
very uncomfortable situation.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I wish we had time for more questions. Gila, I'm going to give it back to you to wrap it
Yeah.
up.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Helen. It was fascinating. We do have a few questions from the audience, and I want to address them now. You'll see it on the screen. So the first question is, how do you balance the need for efficiency with wanting to also give callers a personalized, engaging experience? Karen, you want to take it?
Sure. Well, we do have voice talent that are able to record in emergency situations. Again, they're human, and they're not always going to be available. And that is when the AI voice comes into play. And of course, with AI not being a human, you're going to be able to get results more quickly. You're going to be able to do it 24 hours a day if you need to. So AI is definitely better for that. And we've made huge strides with AI. And like Mike said, you just have to have that human in the loop. You have to have somebody there who can tune it, who can make sure that everything is pronounced properly, and to make it sound as human as possible. But it is possible.
Thank you. The other question is for AI voiceover generation. Do you charge per word, per minute, or per character? Mike?
Yeah, we generally do per word or per minute, depending on the application. So we find it easier to go per word if you're going with an untimed application. So untimed meaning something that's static, that it has no time constraints. And then we do a per minute if it's going to be synced up to a video, because that's just, it makes it really easier for the customer to be able to predict what their pricing is going to be.
Great. I think with that, we will finish the webinar. Thank you all for joining us. We will send you the summary of this webinar, the recording, all the feed that you saw here. You'll get it in a file. We hope you enjoyed it. We are happy to continue the conversation. And thanks again. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mike. And thanks a lot, Helen. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Helen. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.